The girl was born with the speed of light and her parents thought she had some kind of epilepsy, but it was the opposite. The world seemed to stand still to her because her father's speed was so slow that he was out of step with her. So she had to wait all day to get a drink of milk. Her parents called many specialists, but they didn't know how to cure her. As time went on, the little girl grew up, but all she felt was loneliness, because no one else was on the same time as she was. She knew she couldn't go on like this, so she wrote down everything she wanted to say on post-it notes, which her parents read and then recovered on the blackboard. But each time she had to wait a whole week for the results to come back, which was too slow. But she soon had an idea. If she couldn't make other people faster, why not slow down herself? The girl wrote a letter for her parents to read over and over again, and then she calculated that the difference in speed between herself and them was nearly 1,000 times greater. After getting this figure, she began to try to slow down her speed, and slowly she was able to stay on the same channel as them. After more than 10 years, the parents were finally able to communicate with their daughter. They were in tears and hugged each other tightly. After practicing day after day, the girl was now able to control her speed as she wished and was now an employee of a burger restaurant. The owner was so happy that she could work several times as fast as anyone else and was paid the same amount of money. One day, a 4-meter tall boy arrived at the store, and he was just as unusual as the girl. He was born at 1.8 meters tall, and his mother, who was 6 meters tall, couldn't even hold him. Looking at this big-headed son in front of her, the woman could do nothing. And his growth rate is also amazing. To the age of 2 years old has grown to 2 meters. At the age of 5 years old is already close to 3 meters. For the sake of his safety, his parents never let him go outside. He could only watch other children play happily through the window, accompanied by cartoons in this short room. Because of his size, he often breaks the walls of the house, and his father was worried about repairing them. They knew that their son was only 5 years old and would continue to grow, but that was not good enough. By the time the boy was 16, he was already 4 meters tall. He never went to school and never went out. He was so crammed into the small house that he broke the door of his room. In order to prevent him from destroying the house further, his parents decided to build him a new one in the backyard. They doubled the height of the normal house, and even the furniture inside was made in proportion to his height, so he could finally stop sleeping in the 2-meter-long crib. At this time, the boy suddenly proposed that he wanted to go out to see the world, but his parents refused, saying that you cannot go to the outside world before you have the ability to protect yourself, because you are a freak to the normal people. Although he didn't understand, he could only obey. The only way the boy knew about the outside world was through TV and comics. But over time these things became boring and he became even more curious about the outside world. That day, while he was exercising outside, a man suddenly called out to him from the fence where he had found the boy from the watchtower. Although his parents had planted so many trees to hide his presence, he was eventually discovered by other humans. But they didn't mean any harm. They were just curious about this 4-meter-tall guy and even brought him all kinds of food, which reinforced the boy's desire to go outside. So that night he disguised himself as a tree man and went to the park when his parents weren't looking. Not far away, a bunch of young people were drinking when a drunken black guy suddenly came over to use the restroom. The boy was born with 1.8 meters, so the mother of 1.6 meters could not hold him until the boy was 16 years old. His height has come to 4 meters. This day he as usual in the yard exercise, but suddenly heard a burst of loud music. Coming from outside, he ran over to see that it was the last night of the few people. Seeing them play so happy, the boy also could not help but laugh. The result was just a few people heard. The two sides instantly looked at each other. When they saw the giant, they were first shocked and then surprised. And then the boy invited them to his home. Looking at the enlarged version of the furniture, a few people are also full of curiosity because they are similar in age and soon chat with each other. After chatting, the boy showed them his power, and in return they invited him to a party in the evening, which he agreed to do after some hesitation. Soon after, he rode in their car to the party, expecting them to be afraid of seeing him. But not only were they not afraid, they were very excited. Looking out at the skyscrapers hundreds of meters high, the boy felt so small that everything outside was so new. Meanwhile, the parents on the other side of the family saw the incident on social media, and when the boy came back, they were very angry. Soon there was a big fight between the two sides to make him understand the cruelty of the world, and his mother brought him a file with the information they had gathered over the years. It turned out that he wasn't the only giant in the world, and that every once in a while one of these people would appear, and all of them would end up in a horrible way. Some were found dead in meatpacking plants. Others were taxidermied and put on display in museums, and some were dismembered and experimented on and are still soaking in containers full of formalin. But the boy felt that his destiny would not be like this. Everyone was so enthusiastic about him. His parents couldn't resist, so they let him make his own decisions, because sooner or later, he would find out how ugly the world was. At night, the boy arrived at a burger restaurant and was shocked when people started taking pictures of him with their cell phones. He wasn't afraid, but greeted everyone warmly. Just then he saw Lightspeed Girl on the side of the other girl's speed was surprisingly fast. He realized that he was not the only freak in the world. The girl was able to work here, is obviously recognized by the world, then he should also be able to. Surprised to see him because we are all special people, and they both fell in love with each other at first sight. In the days to come, the boy would come over to buy hamburgers from Lightspeed, and the girl would put a heart on her bill every time, and over time they got together. It was a happy life. But slowly the boy's savings got smaller and smaller and he couldn't even afford to pay for a burger. Then an agent approached her and asked him to endorse a clothing brand. When he heard that he could make money, he said yes without even thinking about it. Soon after, the brand gave him a lot of customized clothes. In addition to shooting the clothes, he had to shoot a lot of endorsement ads every day. And on stage he had to pose in various ways. On the stage he had to pose for a whole day and could not move during the whole process, although it was very tiring. But the thought of earning money to buy a burger for the girl made it all worthwhile. Every time he got paid for an advertisement, he would buy dozens of burgers from the girl. He thought his life would go on like this, but that day, an accident happened.